welcome to today's episode of Authentic Achievements, where it's my absolute pleasure to be joined by the fabulous Amy Kemp. Amy, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kim. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you here, Amy. And I know from our quick chat beforehand, we're going to get stuck in quite quickly. So before we do, let me share with those listening and watching a little bit more about you. So Amy is the owner and CEO of Amy Kemp Incorporated. In her work within this growing company, Amy helps leaders and business professionals understand how deeply thought habits impact every part of their work and lives. As a certified habit finder coach, Amy has led over 400 female business leaders through a 4-month small group engagement called Encounter. This experience is designed to help clients replace subconscious thought habits that are no longer serving them with more healthy ones. She's worked through the Habit Finder curriculum with hundreds of leaders in one-to-one settings and with the leadership teams at small and large companies. Finally, with the launch of her first book, I See You, a guide for women to make more, have more, and be more without more work, which came out on February the 29th of this year, 2024. Amy's created an opportunity for everyone to learn and engage with her and the principles that guide her coaching. Amy, I love it because there's just our subconscious brain and the thoughts that we allow to foster there can have such a detrimental effect, and yet we leave them there. But before we get into that, what an amazing journey. Could you bring that to life a little bit more for us and share with us how you got to here?
I would love to. I think the through line of my life's journey is that I am captivated by seeing people start here and go to there, wherever here and there are. This idea of growth and development of people has been the absolute central message of all the work I've done, starting as a high school English teacher where I worked with students, and then moving into sales and leading a national sales team for over 20 years. And then in the last 7 years in this capacity, using a tool where I'm working with people on their subconscious habits of thinking. What I see through all of those iterations of my professional life is that people can grow and change. And a lot of that happens inside and then creates external results. So if you can work on you and really develop you as a person, the external results tend to show up out of the blue. So I also have 3 children, 2 in college, and then 1 caboose who's coming up behind and keeping us on our toes. And then my husband, who also is a principal at a high school here in the Chicagoland area.
Wow. So a lot going on. But I love that whole drive around people being able to continue to grow. You know, I think that's the one thing that has always driven me, which is we're all just on a journey and we can all grow. And if something doesn't serve us, we can learn to change that. But we do have to go inward, don't we, to do some of the fixing. Having spent far too many years looking outward for whatever was going to solve the problem, it wasn't until I learned to go inward that I realised that actually that's where you could make the biggest difference outwardly, but you had to go in first. So I know the core message of your book is you can't outwork your thought habits. Can you tell me more about what that means?
Yeah. We talk a lot about habits in the business world and in business spaces. I feel like that's sort of a buzzword, and they're very important. What we talk less about are our subconscious habits of thinking that oftentimes create the external habits that you see that show up in your day-to-day life. The work that I do really focuses on these subconscious habits of thinking. And I will tell you, a lot of the particularly business owners and or career-driven people that I work with reach a point in their journey where they've climbed the ladder a bit, they've built something, they're not brand new, just starting out. But they get to a point in their journey where they cannot work any more hours, or they just don't have the energy to work any more than what they're working. And hard work never was their problem in the first place. They've got that part down. And you absolutely still have ambition of growing the thing to the next level or moving your career to the next level. And so then what do you do right there? There's sort of a crossroads. Can I share just a little story of when I
So,
reached that point myself? So this is actually in chapter 1 of my book where we had our annual meeting with our financial advisor. And she's a trusted friend and mentor of mine. I really respect and admire her. So we head into her office. I had spent several hours preparing all of the forms that you fill out, kind of overview of our finances, our goals, all of those things. And so I remember what I was wearing. I remember the feel of the maroon burlap chairs that I was sitting on. I remember the air conditioner, the sound of it. It was one of those moments that sort of it solidifies in your mind. And Tess was sitting there with all these forms on her desk, sort of lined up in a row. And she said, I've reviewed everything. You're very organized. You're not overspending. You don't have debt. There's just one problem. If you want to achieve the goals that you've outlined here, paying for college for 3 kids and the retirement goals we had, and just all of the goals we had, she said, you're not making enough money. And I can remember feeling like all the air left the room. I don't know what else she said for the rest of the meeting. I'm sure I was responding, but all that was happening in my head was, I can't work any more hours. My husband is sitting next to me, very vetted in his career and education, not going anywhere and shouldn't. This is what he's supposed to do. And the only way he makes more money is by getting older. So he's sort of there. And I'm thinking, there's no one else in the room. This is actually on my shoulders. And the reality of that left me with a choice. Do I change the goals or do I change me? Because it was not an option with our kids in the busiest season of their lives, our lives being so busy, that there was no option for me to work more hours without sacrificing things that I'm just not going to sacrifice. And so I really had to do some changing of my subconscious habits of thinking in order to take my income to the next level without working more. So it's a good example.
I love that, because I think sometimes that's where we find these gifts, and I see them as gifts. When we find that breakthrough, we see that gift, but we usually find them in a period of despair, where we're kind of like there going, really, what else? What else? And I don't know where to go. But they're the moments where actually the rubber does hit the road. You do have to then go, okay, let me think this through. What is most important to me? What am I willing to change, and what am I not willing to change? So, for example, things that you're not willing to change is giving up any more time with your family than you already have to, because you're already working so many hours. So you're like, right, that's definitely a non-negotiable. That's not happening. And it allows you to come to, okay, these are the bits I'm willing to change because these ones are too important. So it's the only one. And I came to a similar place on mine where it was like, okay, the change is going to be you, you in the mirror. You're going to need to do something differently. Because if not, to your point, I was definitely guilty of being one of those people that, before I had my little girl, that had corporate jobs and would consider whether or not I could merge Saturday and Sunday and call them Sam Day and use the time to do a little bit more work, because that's where we went. And that all changed, and you're like, no, actually your priorities changed. The things that are important to you changes, but unless you do the work that you've done and that you're helping all these other leaders to do, you're running on outdated software. I kind of look at mine. I think is it that you form the beliefs at 7, enforce them at 14, embed them at 21, and if you don't go back and do the work, then you're running on that software. And I look at I'm putting my phone over there, but I'm like, right, I'm 51 now. So if I hadn't gone and looked at it, I'd be running on 30-year-old software. And yet the minute that the phone tells me it needs an update, well, I'm like a magpie, must update it. Clearly, can't wait a couple of days. So for me, that was the part. I was like, that's really weird. You'll update all of your equipment, but you won't update the most important equipment that you're using to kind of run your life.
I can't believe you're using this analogy, because in the publishing process in my proposals, that's the exact analogy that I gave, is that, yes, this idea of these upgrades that we're constantly doing with our technology, but not doing in our own thinking and in our own way that we're showing up in the world. But it's sometimes a little bit intimidating, or it's a little bit vulnerable. And I also do not believe it's possible to do it alone. I don't think real sustainable life change or habits of thinking can be changed in isolation, even with as many tools and as much information as we have today. I'm convinced that we change in the context of relationships and community.
I completely agree. I mean, we need that psychological safe space to go and do the digging. And you can't do that for yourself, because you can't do the digging and be your own psychological safe space. It's too much. And also I believe we've got blind spots for a reason. We're blind to them. And therefore, unless we've got somebody else who can shine a light on those for us and go, yeah, you might want to look in that corner over there. That's a bit dark. We're never going to look in that corner over there, because we're blinded to it.
I absolutely 100% agree. And not only blind spots, but the people around us, particularly if you're leading a business or you're leading within the context of a business or organization or government or wherever you lead, they all have agenda in your decisions. So for me, I knew I can't talk to the people I'm leading about the fact that I'm feeling a transition coming on, because I knew my decisions would filter down and have such a significant impact on so many people. And they had a stake in my staying where I was. Even my husband, who's awesome, he's not coaching me. He's my spouse. I needed someone who was so far outside of my day-to-day experience, any kind of connection to my decisions, who could just be a sounding board and create a space where I could talk through some of the noise that was keeping me from making the changes that I knew needed to happen. Here's the other interesting thing about that conversation with our financial advisor. I kind of knew it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to know it, but I kind of knew it. And I had been playing around with that for a bit, but there was a lot attached to me really owning that truth that I had to wrestle with and reckon with. And so I would not have been able to do that without the help of several coaches throughout the journey of the transition that happened from that point forward.
I love that. And I think it is so true. Deep down we know, but we almost don't want to know. And I need to find out who it is, because must have used this a few times recently. But I read a book, and then in it she shares that it's not our darkness that scares us, it's our light. It's the fact that we might be really good at something, and that feels egotistical. That feels wrong. Yeah, we're told ego's a bad thing, and yet actually our light and the thing that we're good at, the thing that I think you encourage your readers, is to do the thing that feels easy to you and astonishes everybody else. It's that thing that is your natural talent. And again, natural talent sounds a bit braggy, doesn't it? It's like, that's finding natural talent. And yet we all have that thing where we're talented. I remember mine was, I can literally talk to anybody. I'm the person that people talk to on the tube in London. Nobody talks on the tube. I get people giving me their kids to cuddle. And I'm like, okay. But I didn't think that was a particular gift, because I'm like, well, we can all talk. It's pretty easy until you watch people that can't. So how do you help people to own their natural talent? Because they probably know deep down where it is, but they've not really owned it yet.
I believe this is a unique part of my coaching that I never imagined would become a part of it. And that is being able to articulate. In just talking with clients and working with them for a period of time, I start to be able to see what their natural genius is, but they almost to a person can't identify it themselves. Now,
Yeah.
when I say it, so if I said to you, oh, you have such a natural ability to connect with people in any setting, that would ring true to you. And you would say, oh, of course, I've always done that. And you could trace it back. But if I asked you, what is your natural genius? Most people just go blank. They have nothing. So it's sort of a building process. It's funny. I was just talking with a client about this who she's a leader in her organization who does have a great deal of impact, but her leadership is very different from our uh, stereotypical style of what we think of leadership as this charismatic, out in front, leading from the stage, always having a vision. She's a connector. She's watching the vibes of the room. She's a quiet, introspective, thoughtful leader who shows up to tables noticing, listening, observing, and then maybe following up with a quiet conversation afterward to see how someone's doing. She's leading, but it's not this. And so for years, she has felt like she needed to become a better leader and to become this stereotype. And we had this really great conversation where I said, I think our world needs more of your style of leadership. We've got the other covered in spades.
We're all over that.
I'm not sure it's serving us well in every context, right? Particularly not with a counterbalance of this more, I might even say stereotypically feminine energy that she's bringing to the leadership space. But do that. Please bring more of that without apology and without trying to be what you're not. I learned this from a very young age. I actually worked alongside my mom, who is an exceptional leader, but exceptionally different from me as well. She's very much charismatic, out in front, outgoing, kind of the life of the party. She'll walk into a room and is sort of magnetic. I'm a very strategic, one-on-one, developing people in intimate spaces, analytical, more quiet leader. And for years felt like I wasn't leading because I wasn't that example.
Yeah.
I remember the day where I thought, oh, I don't have to be that. I can be this, I can do this. And when I do this, it grows, that everything around me grows. And it became this very empowering. And the best part was I could also celebrate the beauty of the way that she leads. I could really just be so grateful to have her energy in that space. And then I could bring mine. We don't need people to be what they're not. So I think that idea of natural genius and doing what feels easy to you and is challenging for everyone else is so vital to the future of businesses, of communities, even of faith organizations, that we have all kinds of gifts being used.
Oh, I love that. And I think you're so right. At the start, you were saying, it's really hard to find that for yourself. And I found my natural talent through my first coach. and we sat there, and I remember him saying, I remember him sitting down with me, and this is how far away from knowing my truth that I was. And he said, what do I need to know? And I said, well, I'm rubbish at my job. And he went, okay, interesting. And he said, you got any facts to support that? I went, no, but at least I know it. Mm-hmm. And he went, right, okay. He said, any facts to the contrary? And I was like, no, none. And he was like, okay, can I share with you a couple of facts? And I was like, please do. Yeah, I just want to get better. And he went, okay, so aren't you in your third quarter of double-digit growth? And I went, yeah, that's true. And he went, and hasn't your team got the highest engagement score of the entire organization globally? I went, yeah. He said, isn't it in fact higher than the 5-year aspiration? I went, yeah, that's true. He said, didn't you just win Leader of the Year? And I went, mm-hmm. He said, and with these facts, you still, still not good at my job. It's like, wow.
The data suggests otherwise.
I'll work out. But I looked at all these other leaders who were those charismatic, well pulled together, very corporate looking. And I was like, I'm like a hyperactive puppy dog most of the time. And I want to lead this way. And then realize actually, as finding out that you had got a natural talent, and actually your gift is to make people feel at ease. And therefore to have that safe space to tell you what's going on so you can help them find a solution. And that actually helps businesses grow, mine and the ones that I work in, was amazing. And yet it would have been something that I would have passed off as going, I just talk a lot. So understanding that, and to your point, then being able to appreciate the other energy and the importance for all different types of energies and how collectively they work better together if we're not all trying to be what we're not.
Yes. Another I'll add on to that, which is, don't you dare undercharge for your area of natural genius just because it feels easy to you.
Yeah.
That, and I'm not sure this may be a gender stereotype, but women tend to be way worse. They ask for less in terms of pay raises. They don't charge enough in their fees for whatever service or product they are bringing to the marketplace because they think, well, that feels so easy to me. I mean, just like you were saying, it feels so easy to me to encourage people and to talk to people and to get the best out of people. But that skill in the marketplace is exceptionally valuable. Don't you dare undercharge or undervalue or not ask for what you deserve just because it feels easy or fun or life-giving to you. That's actually the point. That's what you should be doing. And that's what you should be getting paid the most for. So
I love that, and it's true. And I have that conversation with clients all of the time, which is right. When they're thinking about what they're going to charge, and I'm like, okay, it might take you 3 minutes to do that, but it's taken you 30 years to learn how to do it in 3 minutes. So they're paying for the 30 years, not the 3 minutes. You've got to do a combination. I mean, so that it feels like actually both of you get something out of it. Both of you get value. And both feel equally valued. They got something that they value because it made such a massive difference to them, and you got something that makes you feel valued for sharing that skill. And it's kind of trying to alter some of that, how we've been brought up. And I've got amazing parents, but we're very much brought up in the girls should be seen and not heard. So I felt dismally in that area. It's what God we said, but that was the era. That was that's how it was, and therefore you didn't want to stand out in the wrong way, and you then start playing a different script in your head, and it isn't until you get a good coach or a number of them, because I actually believe that you have a coach for the moment, and you have a coach for the thing, because just like anything else, you want the coach that's an expert in the thing you need to fix right now, and then actually that bit's done, you need to do another bit, you need a different expert. So it's that evolution, isn't it, of making sure that you're constantly growing and challenging yourself, because the who you become after having the first coach isn't the person that the first coach can coach. you then need the next one.
And I think the same is true for my clients. I don't think they need to be with me for their whole lives. I think I'm here for a season or for a purpose. And, we often stay in touch, but it is okay to move on and continue your growth journey. There's no shortage of people who benefit from the kind of work that we do. And so I agree wholeheartedly. Yes. And in my own journey, even, I think sometimes I hear this narrative where it's like, well, I did coaching 10 years ago. And I think that's always a part of my budget. I've invested, I can only think of maybe 2 people I know who have invested more time and money in personal development and coaching, and it's something that I need because my brain is so busy. I need that sounding board. I perform better when I have accountability. I absolutely need someone to hold space for me because a lot of the times I'm holding space for everyone else in my life. And so that's just, I'm not apologizing for it. It will always be in my budget. Don't even question it.
No, I love that, and the same is true for me. And I had somebody say once, "Oh, well, does that mean you're not a very good coach, and I should go to your coach?" And by all means, go to my coach. I said, I can't coach myself, so I have a coach because actually what I need is, to your point, somebody who can hold me accountable and that can provide that safe space and can provide the challenge and the check. And I also do supervisory coaching for some other coaches to do the same bit for them. It's like, it's just the fact of having somebody that's external, and you said it so eloquently earlier, that hasn't got such an emotional attachment to the outcome. That doesn't mean to say they're not emotionally attached to you and they want the best for you, but they genuinely have got no emotional attachment to what choice you end up making. It's like they're there to help, and I think that's what makes them a unique part of your Thrive Hive, aren't they? You've got your family, you've got your friends, you've got other people that are in there, but they become that kind of I class my coach, who I adore, as my critical best friend. So I know that we've got my best friend, my best interests at heart. But they will also let me know that doesn't look good or doesn't sound good or doesn't work for me, before I've gone off and done it. It's like, no, come back. Let's talk that through. That's not a good option. And I think that's what it is. I'm conscious of time. We've still got a few bits to talk to you about, but I love the thought of working and living in rhythms and guilt-free play. I'd love to learn more about that.
So if you think about, almost every part of our world has rhythms. The seasons are rhythms. We're heading into fall. The leaves are turning. It's getting cooler in the Chicago area. Things slow down a little bit. You think about our favorite music has rhythms and peaks and valleys. Life has rhythms. Our start of our week, the middle of the week, the end of the week, the weekend, even just life as a whole journey starts with kind of the tyrannical tempo of toddlerhood, and then it moves into the middle part, and then it, I say in the book, the wandering waltz of older ages as we slow down. I think we're designed for rhythm, and that we are ignoring this need in our work patterns and in our day-to-day schedules. And my argument, and I've yet to see anyone disprove it, so I'm still in a continuous study. But what I see is that when people who are high capacity people schedule, that's a very key word, guilt-free playtime, where they are doing things that give their brain a break, meaning they cannot think about work when they are doing them, whether that is playing cards or going for a walk with a friend or having dinner with your grandma. Or I just played pickleball this morning, and I love to play pickleball because when I'm playing, there's nothing else I can think about. I build in scheduled time where I am playing. What happens is that you get into this really cool rhythm. You have something to look forward to. And so you do a better quality of work leading up to it. Then you can take that time off guilt-free and play, which actually in our human brains stimulates creative ideas, problem solving without thinking about it. That's all happening under the surface because we're triggering different parts of our brain, which then allows us to come back to work and do a higher quality of work. And then we can put those creative ideas into practice, and we have more guilt-free playtime. So you work into this beautiful cycle of genuine joy in all parts of it, where you're not working and working and working and working and working. Even throughout your day, building in breaks and rhythm to your work, it's absolutely essential we are not machines.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Oh,
are not, and we have got to work focused, then rest and play. Work focused and then rest and play. And we generally stink at the play. I was this just happened last week, Kim. I'm at an event with about maybe 40 women. And I said, what do you do for play? What are the things you love to do that just feel joyful and fun and you look forward to it? And it is silent.
yeah.
It's silent because the thought of even being able to consider what would I want to do that's fun is so far from their brains. All they're thinking about is what they need to do for everyone else, their work, getting things done. There's just this grind.
Yeah, yeah.
That is not an attractive energy. It does not bring growth and abundance into your space. And so there's got to be more prioritizing uh, the things. Like today, I had this idea this morning about a dinner party. There's these 3 couples that I think would really enjoy each other. And I thought, oh, that would be so fun if I could just invite them all over and they could get to know each other. But I'm constantly playing around with that kind of thing, because if that dinner party is on my calendar, I am looking forward to it. I have a text out to these 2 friends of ours who we want to go to the city and spend a day, just the 3 of us. There's just a constant part of me, and you can hear it in my voice when I talk about it.
Your energy.
I'm alive. I am not here just to work, but I love to work. But that is not the only thing. And the things that are playful do not have to cost money. They don't have to be expensive, but they have to be the things that give you a break and really fill you with joy and wonder and awe. And so I'm just a huge believer in that process of scheduling the guilt-free play so you have something to look forward to makes your work of higher quality. It's all connected.
Oh, I love that. I've got a really good friend of mine who her favorite color is pink, and she always has in her calendar her pink time. And that would be her time that is about her and something that brings her joy. And it could be anything from like going to sit underneath her favorite tree with a book. So like you said, it doesn't always have to be things that cost money, but it's things that she knows is going to feed her soul. That could be one of my favorite ones, my fun ones, is cooking. I love cooking. It's always my go-to. But I love cooking with my little girl. So actually then we get family time and we get to do something. So poor little thing, she's only 7, but she knows how to make jam and pasta and bread, and which for a 7-year-old is probably a little bit unusual, but she loves it. And I love teaching her and showing her those. And they are real moments of joy that I have to plan in, because if not, they're the easy thing to get bumped off. Yeah, it's much faster for me to make dinner than it is to teach her how to make it with me. So it can be things where you go, yeah, you can watch. So I try not to be really conscious now of, to your point, scheduling it and go, right, on Saturday, this is what we're going to do. And then we do it. And I'm always so much more filled with joy when we've actually done what we said we were going to do.
Yes, it's the good stuff. And I think also I used to feel guilty about it. I would feel like, oh, there's a lot to do, or, oh, I'm so much more efficient, so much more effective. And I've built in now, I've gotten really good at it. I'm kind of mastering this whole concept, but I build in a once a month trip somewhere fun on a weekend, and then we have scheduled vacations where I know these are times that we're going to be taking fun trips. It's become such a priority, because the more I've prioritized it, the more successful my businesses have become. And so I just would triple dog dare anyone who's feeling like, yeah, that's easy for you to say, I'm drowning in all of this work. It's exactly how I felt at the outset. I just took a flyer and thought, okay, I'm going to trust people who say, if you take breaks, this is going to work better. And it did. I became so much more magnetic in my role as a leader and a business owner, because I was feeling inspired from the play.
Oh, I love that. And you can see it. You can see it in your energy. You can see it in your face. It just makes such a difference. I'm really conscious. I could chat to you all day, but I'm really conscious of time. So if you could go back and give your younger self a piece of advice, Amy, what would it be?
Mhm. I just had this conversation with two friends. We were at dinner and I said, I wish I would have trusted myself more in my younger years. And even now, when I get off track, it's because I'm starting to listen to other voices and not being still and like really listening to my inner knowing. I got through the publishing of this book, I got a little distracted by a lot of marketing voices recently. This is an example of this, where it's like, you should be doing this and you should be focused on this and you should be. That's not how I've grown my businesses ever. But I got distracted and I was feeling not motivated. I wasn't feeling like I had it, so to speak, where you have that sort of
Yeah.
effervescent energy. And what I realized is that doesn't fill my cup to grow it through the channels that they are suggesting. What fills my cup is serving people in very real, intimate spaces. And if there's someone I can serve, put them on my path today and I will serve them. And when I'm in that sort of energy, the rest takes care of itself. I don't need to have all these strategic initiatives. What I need to do is what I'm best at and trust myself and stay true to that. And when I do that, always the return comes. I've never done that and not had the return come 100-fold. It's just when I get distracted by how other people do it and this person says and that, and no, I would trust myself more and sooner.
Oh, I love that, because we can get too carried away with whatever, and everybody else has got got an opinion that they're free to give to us. I was doing a show on unsolicited feedback a while ago, and the lady who asked me the question, she said, "What are your thoughts about it?" And I said, "Well, personally, if somebody provides me with unsolicited feedback, then if they've it's not about me, it's about them. Because if it were really about me, they would have asked me if it was okay to give me some feedback. They would have checked in." I said, and then the second way I know it's definitely about them and not me is when they tell me what I should do. Because if what I should do, what they're saying is you haven't got the power or the knowledge to make the right choice for yourself. Well, I have got the power and the knowledge to make the right choice for myself. And if I ever give anybody feedback, one, I always ask first, would you mind? And then two, I always tell them, here's just some things that you might consider. They're just in your pot for you to choose. You could choose to do nothing with them. You can choose to try them out. You can choose to throw them in the air. It really doesn't matter. But it's always, here's some things to consider, rather than you should do this, you should do that, you should do the other. Because I get so distracted by people telling me what I should do, that it took me a while until I realised that's not about you. That's about them feeling out of control in another area of their life and wanting to regain control by taking control of yours. And so sometimes you have to disconnect. So I love that whole trust yourself, trust that inner knowing, and go, that may well work for them, but that isn't going to work for me. It's not going to feel authentic. It's not going to feel how I want to lead my life.
Yes.
And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes us different.
Yes. Yes.
Amy, it's been an absolute privilege. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing such invaluable insight and sharing your stories with us and your energy. It's been a joy.
Thank you so much.
And for everybody listening and watching, I hope you found today's conversation as enjoyable, insightful, and actionable as I have. And until next time, take care.